Hi, we are Grandma's Trio. Welcome to our video this week about Basquiat. And I don't think that's how you pronounce his name, but we're going to be talking about his artwork and isolating some semiotic signs from them. So I'm just going to start by sharing my screen. Oh, what? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm Mars and I use they, them pronouns.
I'm Molly. I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Corey. I use they, them pronouns.
Beautiful. Okay, now I'll share my screen with our paintings here. Okay. Sorry. All right. So to start us off, I'm going to talk about, this is actually untitled, but if you look up untitled skull in parentheses, this one comes up. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was a bit of a spoiler. So this piece was actually like hidden from the art world for a long time. And I think it's like the highest priced, like it's the most expensive art piece like ever like bought, I think, like $100 million or something for this piece, because it was in someone's basement for 20 years, and then someone sold it, which is interesting because we can get into this argument later, but I don't think Basquiat would have wanted that type of money being spent, perhaps, if we think he's anti-capitalist, but we can get into that. I think the Mollies we will. But so yeah, a few signs from this piece are that he has this like kind of grid. I wish I could point. I don't, oh wait, can you see my mouse? Beautiful, okay. This little grid pattern, can you, sorry, I don't know how screen share works. Can you see like the bar that like is zoom, like the zoom squares?
I don't see it, no.
Okay, thank you. Right, so you can see up here, he has this almost like tic-tac-toe board on the skull's head. And I think, in my opinion, this reads as like a crown almost, and it reminds me of all the other crowns he puts in his paintings, which again, we will get into this in later paintings, but the crown for him challenges notions of race and power, of course, because of like who is being proud of royalty, and the skull itself is resembling like slaves, like skulls of slaves from the thousands of years in the past, and then also from Basquiat's like own nationality. He's Haitian, and this skull is like resembling Haitian masks that have been appropriated and honestly perverted by like white people and like Europeans. So it really goes along with a lot of the themes of his other works, which are just like the commodification of Black people and their experiences because of that. I also just wanted to mention really quick about the anatomy book that his mom got him. Sorry, someone's walking by. I don't know if you can hear that. The skulls in the anatomy book that his mom got him when he was recovering from his spleen surgery as a child. They mentioned that in the documentary and how he was obsessed with anatomy because of that book, and it comes through in a lot of his paintings because he just, you know, studied that and like read it and drew off of it as a child. And sorry, I know I'm talking a lot, but that's kind of the assignment. One more thing from this painting that I wanted to talk about was this little, I don't know if you want to call it a crosshatch here, but arguably I think it can resemble like barbed wire, which where he grew up in New York, there would have been a lot of fences with barbed wire around, and also the subway, the New York subway. So this little mark right here. And also there's some in the head, maybe like scars if you want to go a little darker with it. But yeah, so that's all I have to say about this piece. If anyone else wants to chime in about this one before we move on. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to. I'm sorry. Spoilers. I know.
I feel like
I'm sorry. Give me.
one thing that's cool in the painting, I think that I don't know what it means, but I would like to find out is it I don't know if it looks like there's like letters on the teeth, maybe. Like, you know how in the documentary it said how he like writes letters. He like writes words and then he like crosses them out and he says like it's the ones that are crossed out that like matter the most, you know? And I feel like that's like a little thing. Also, the A's, I think the A's mean something that we watched in the documentary. I forget what, but I think there's an A on my painting too. I just want to say that.
Yeah, I was looking at the lettering in this piece because there is a lot of, it seems like disjointed, like it's not any full words that I can see, like it's some A's at the bottom, and then obviously I think there's a J, maybe like another A or a C in the teeth, and then we have like X's and O's, and it looks like there's an S up there in the um little checkerboard back there. But yeah, same as Molly, I wouldn't really know what those meant, unfortunately. Ready for the next painting?
Yes. Okay, so this is the painting by Basquiat that I chose. I think we like Googled this man's name like 20 times to figure out how to say it, and I still can't remember it, and I feel really annoyed by that. So the one on this is entitled Venus, and it is okay, first off, the one on the right, the one on the left is like the more known version of this painting, and I think the one on the right is maybe like a draft done by him. I couldn't really get the difference between the two, but anyway, the one on the left is okay. Mars.
Thank you, Molly. I did want to say that this like Venus pose, I did look it up. He has this pose in other pieces as well, so I think he's just very intrigued by this. But
Okay, cool. Awesome. This painting is supposed to resemble another painting that I should do.
that was my bad. I should have included
No,
it.
it's
But
okay.
I think
forgot to tell
I
you.
actually, I don't know if this will count,
Maybe
but I
like
do have it as my backdrop. Oh wait, can you
Okay.
see it?
Yeah, it's like
Oh.
loading. Wait, it's actually
Yeah, it
frozen.
says sharing is paused. I don't know. Bring your shared window to the front, but what if I want to share my whole laptop? Okay, it's okay.
You can just like Google it.
Can
real
you
quick
see
for
my
me.
Google?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So it's like not okay. So here's one thing I actually um wrote down that I thought was interesting in the documentary is that he never copied but he improvises in them. And so in this painting, so there's a few things that I wanted to talk about. You can go back to the paintings. I can like reference this one. Anyway, okay, so first off, so I kind of looked into the rough draft a little more, is what I'm assuming is the rough draft, because I feel like that would give us a little more like insight into like maybe like his thoughts and everything. Yeah,
I'm sorry, Molly. You can tell me to stop butting in. I just have thoughts.
you're fine. It's perfect.
The reason I think Molly is assuming it's a rough draft is because the one on the left is titled Venus, and the one on the right is untitled, and then in parentheses it just says like Venus 2000 BC. So it like not actually having like that title. I don't know.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly where I was coming from on that. So the one on the right, well, first off, one thing that he has a lot in his paintings are the crowns. And the crowns are there to challenge race and power. Like the original painting is very whitewashed and like does not, and there's actual like other history besides this, which ties into the 2000 and then the 300 on the other painting. So this might not be accurate, but I was trying to find some research into what the 2000 and 300 meant, because of a lot of his paintings are referencing like history that's been disregarded. So the 2000 I saw was okay, so in 2000 BC was when like the prime era of king and queens in like Black king and queens in Egypt. And then the 300 is like there was like or wait, where's the, no, sorry, not 300, 700. I don't know why I'm saying it's a 700. I mean 300, 700. There was like 700 years where like there was like a popular rule of Black king and queens that was not like recognized the way it should have been. And so also the arm, the kind of so the woman or the woman presenting symbol in the middle of the one on the right lacks arms clearly. And he might have been talking about how like Black people have been dehumanized, and the arm going across this is like kind of all I'm trying to like tie everything in the picture together, of that being of like the arm is like the dehumanization of Black people, and being that like rule and that prime time was taken away by them. And then also in the documentary, I think it also talks about the copyright, and that copyright is and like it's supposed to mean like is like kind of like taking it back, you know, like this is like our history, or like in quotations. And I think the elbow below it, the written word elbow is supposed to mean that like the copyright is referencing to the taking the elbow. Maybe that's what I kind of got, I think. And then I was thinking that on the picture of the left, which is the more formal known, that maybe in the knees he was trying to get that copyright symbol down, but I wasn't really sure. Maybe he was like doing again like an improvisation on his copyright symbol, which he does a lot. And I'm also wonder, one thing about this is well, there's a lot of things I actually would like to know about this painting, like more, but actually this might be because of the lighting or something, but there's like a white strip under the crown on the one on the left. And maybe there was like a word there, because there's like on the left, wait, the right,
Say the yellow one
Rest.
or the white one.
on the white one. No, but I'm talking about that little purple line. It looks like there's words covered up, maybe, possibly. And then maybe I'm sorry, this is my brain just like trying to connect things, but maybe not. But like above the 700, that looks like a little, like it reminds me of like a time, a timeline. So like maybe it was talking about that time span of 700 years, question mark. And yeah, I know Mars, you had something to say before.
I did have a comment when you asked about the blacked out, not the blacked out, but like the marked out parts. I know that Basquiat liked to one portray like the Black body as either like in parts or like incomplete because of like the commodification of Black bodies in America, and like you were getting at, like the dehumanization of them. And I think that like portraying them as like parts of a whole can kind of be reflected in like the missing parts of like the image, the white out parts. I don't know if that is why, but that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And like in relation to that a little bit, I have a quote from the reading. I realize that, which is actually a reading in the quote by Michael Fawcett. I'm not really sure, but yeah, Fawcett. Yeah, but he says power is a system of domination which controls everything and which leaves no room for freedom. And I feel like he's kind of like in his paintings, he's very much showing the absence of not the absence of that, but like the taken away of power, if that makes sense. Yeah, go ahead.
I do have another quote that is very along the lines of your quote. In Bell Hooks, it said, mass media was a system of knowledge and power reproducing and maintaining white supremacy. In what you were saying earlier about this being like the traditional image and like the birth of Venus being like of a white woman, and then like kind of like challenging that notion of like, okay, art history is like whitewashed, and like, why is that? Oh, because white supremacy. And yeah, I think that applies.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that and how that applies to that. Yeah, that's my analysis of his painting, Venus.
Can I add a couple of it?
Ready
Like you,
for the next one?
wait, hold on. Can I add a few things about this one?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so for the one on the left, at least, it kind of looks like for one, there's the A in the top corner, like we discussed in the last one, and there's a bunch of letters all over. I think, like the breast kind of look like an O and almost like a C, even with like a little serif almost. The knees, I'm assuming, kind of look like E's and almost the copyright symbol, which I think it just could be an upside down E too, potentially. And the nether region kind of looks like a V and could arguably be like extended into a Y. Even like the leg on the left almost kind of bends like an L. And then of course there's Venus at the top.
Yeah, I feel like there's like a lot of things like that in a lot of his paintings, and I would like to know what they mean.
Okay, next one.
Yep. Okay, so this one is called Horn Players, which I was pretty excited to find. It depicts Dizzy Gillespie and Charles Barker on the left and right, respectively, who are both famous jazz musicians. There is a lot to go on here. There's a lot of body parts listed, like you've got ear, larynx, teeth, a feet is somewhere on the bottom too. Yeah, those are all body parts with which you can make music. Like you use your teeth, you put it on the reed for a sax, possibly. Your feet, you can stomp with them. Your larynx, you can make sounds with that. What was the other one I said? Was that all of them? I think. Yeah. Yeah. In one of the Hooks readings, it talked about competition between Black and white jazz musicians, males specifically. And there's a quote that says, Basquiat's work calls attention to the innovative power of Black male jazz musicians whom he reveres as creative father figures. Their presence and work embody for him a spirit of triumph. And that again calls back to the last painting, challenging that notion of white supremacy and focusing more on the Black parts of the culture and the art. And for the ornithology, that is the study of birds, fun fact. And that is relevant because Charles Parker's nickname was Bird or Yard Bird. So that's just like a little subtle nod to it. And then alchemy in the bottom, he thought of jazz as like this mixture of improvisation, of fusion, of avant-garde dimensions. And the Hooks reading talked about that as well. Even Basquiat decided to attempt to play some jazz. He wasn't like a technical genius per se, but that wasn't really his point. He just was focused on admiring the artistic ability of these musicians and as a sign of respect for the art that goes into it. And then in the middle, there's a skull as well that was similar to the first painting we talked about, with a bit of that cross-hatching action and the teeth again. And then finally, bottom left, a box that says soap. You can probably assume soapbox, which he's using as this platform, like he's using as his art as a platform to give attention to Black artists. You are muted, by the way, Mars, if you're talking.
I'm sorry, I just muted you on accident. I meant to unmute myself. I knew I was muted. I was just like nodding along with you.
That's okay.
Because I like what you were saying. I'm also really intrigued by this candle in the bottom corner. I don't know what he's saying is burning out, or like what the symbolism there is, but I noticed that looked like kind of a abstract candle. But yeah. Do we have any final thoughts? I know I actually forgot to include my bell hooks quote at the beginning. I guess, should I say it now?
Yeah, go for it.
I think it applies to a lot of his work. So it's actually a quote from someone else from the reading, a quote from Manthia Diawara, from Black British Cinema, Spectatorship and Identity Formation in Territories. So Manthia says, every narration places the spectator in a position of agency, and race, class, and sexual relations influence the way in which this subjecthood is filled by the spectator. So it's basically saying that it's in the context of cinema, so it says every narration, but if we're talking about art, it's just saying that like every piece like is perceived differently by different people based on their race, class, and sexual relations. So for like Basquiat's like, I guess, haters, like the people that were like, this doesn't really mean anything, it looks like scribbles, like all of this, like they don't have the life experience to understand where he's coming from, which just kind of reminded me of that quote. So yeah,
That's a good one. Yeah.
thanks. Is that all we have for this week's video?
I think it might be.
I believe so, yeah.
Wow. Okay, guys. Thanks for talking. Hope you enjoyed watching. Are we gonna do the hand thing? Bye.